warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الحمد لله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على خير المرسلين محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. But thank you, brothers and sisters, for coming tonight, family night. The small talk that we're going to do, inshallah, that the Imam asked me to do. I wanted to kind of be really informal, not so much formal. So, kind of interaction between the crowd and myself. He named it, your body has rights.
Giving your body its rights.
Giving your body its rights. And it really was pertaining to my personal experience with weight loss. And so many people asking me, how do I lose so much weight? Okay. So in my particular losing weight, I lost between 150 and 120 pounds from my height of weight. So my height was 350 and I'm down to about 230, 235. So alhamdulillah, it's a blessing, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We try to get into a little religious aspect, but I want to get a little bit more detail with a little scientific aspect and dealing with the anatomy and things of that nature that we need to know. But just to run over through some religious aspect first, so we could understand that. So we could understand that when we're talking about losing weight, we first want to understand that why are we losing weight? Why do we want to lose weight? Are we overweight? Or do we just want to lose a few pounds? Or are we dealing with obesity? This here, because we're dealing with myself, we're going to deal with a little bit level of obesity. And obesity is a physical disorder amongst human beings, as well as it could be a mental disorder amongst us too. But obesity, a lot of us, and we're dealing with here in America, a lot of us is really, we think we're overweight, but we're actually obese. And obesity has to deal with your BMI, your body mass index, being 30% over your body mass index, which is considered obesity to the doctors or health physicians and things of that nature. Being 20% over your BMI, you're considered overweight. Now, obesity has to deal with a lot of times in dealing with, food intake, not enough exercise, that level of lifestyle, and then also dealing with genetics, or it could deal with your environment, the way you live. Okay? So, to continue, Call to Allah says in Surah Al-Araf, Ya Bani Adam, khudhu zinatukum inda kulli masjidin wa khulu washrabu wa la tasrifu innahu la yuhibbu musrifin. He said, O children of Adam, wear your beautiful apparel at every time and place of prayer. Eat and drink, but waste not by excess, for Allah loves not the waster. In this verse, we're going to deal with eat and drink, but waste not by excess. This is specifically what we want to deal with. In Islam, it's a balance in the eating and drinking. There's a reason by that. There's a balance between eating and drinking. And to be excessive in a thing, other than being excessive in a thing, in all things, but specifically eating, drinking, is really a sin. It's a sin. Our Prophet Muhammad said, the son of Adam will not fill a pot worse for himself than his stomach. It is enough for the son of Adam to eat a few bites and strengthen his spine. If he likes to have more, then let him fill a third with food, a third with drink, and leave a third for his breathing. We've all heard that hadith. So our Prophet Muhammad is showing us the balance of the human being's body, himself, what we need to do to live and survive on this earth. So he's giving you a balance, a third, and a third. I've heard one of our scholars say to, talking about the Sahabas, and I can't find this hadith, and maybe the Imam could find it for me one day, but the Prophet Muhammad looked at one of the Sahabas that was being overweight and told him that point in his stomach will look better on another Sahaba that was more slim. So Prophet Muhammad is showing us how we should be healthy. How we should be healthy. The word tufrifu or sarafa, which is the root word, it means to exceed limits, to exceed the boundaries, to exceed the limits, to go past. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is warning the believers that do not exceed the limits. Do not exceed the limits of eating and drinking. And if we exceed the limits of eating and drinking, it can be very harmful to us. So let me rewind a little bit. Let me make this statement because I wanted to say this first. What is halal can still harm you. We have to understand that. What is halal can still harm you. So you ask the question, if something is halal, how can it harm you? Okay, well, first of all, let's rewind a little bit. A lot of us as Muslims, when we think of the word halal, we first think of meat, lahm. Because we use the phrase repeatedly, halal, is it halal, is it halal, is it halal. The word halal in Arabic basically means permissibility. Haram means impermissibility. So you could use the word and say, is she halal for me to get married to? Is the woman halal for a man to marry? Is she permissible? So the word is not specific to food. A lot of times, and we're not going to get into this, but what we're looking for as Muslims is the meat zabiha. And what the term zabiha means is how we actually slaughter our meat as Muslims, not the Christians or the Jews. That term zabiha is not specific to the Christians or the Jews, even though Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it permissible to eat their meat. Okay? But the term that we're looking for is zabiha, right? Or zabiha, some say. Is it slaughtered by the Muslims? Okay? And then you could go into, is it permissible, halal, to eat kosher or meat from the Christians, and so forth. So, the term halal, meaning that something permissible that we could eat, specifically what we're talking about here, can it harm us? Yes, it can harm us. And we will get into that. Ibn Abbas said, eat what you wish and wear what you wish, as long as you avoid two things, extravagance and arrogance. In the Arab culture, there were certain things, and it's not just specific to the Arab culture, even to this day and time, but it was certain things that indicated that people had wealth. Okay? A lot of us understand the hadith of your garment being below your ankle and you're stepping into the hellfire. And many of the ulama have said this is because based upon the arrogance. And why it was arrogance? Because if you in the Arabian culture, if you had clothing and you buy clothes and drag on the dirt in the ground, it's as if to say that I can have it clean in the next 10 minutes, 20 minutes, or a day, or I could change this piece of clothing, put another clothes. It doesn't even matter. So it gave wealthy people a level of arrogance and pride. Having many animals or a farm, for say, was showing a level of wealth. If you had a number of cows, or a number of lambs, or a number of cattle, it showed a level of wealth. If you had food, abundance of food, it showed a level of wealth. Majority of the society then, they didn't eat like we eat here in America today. They didn't have meat every day. And they didn't have fruits and vegetables every day. They usually ate when the seasons came in of growth, of vegetation. And when they were able to get meat, if they had cattle, when it was mature enough to slaughter to eat. Or when you didn't use it anymore in terms of farming the land, or it couldn't produce milk, or so forth like that. They was able to eat the meat. So they didn't eat abundance of food. But if we remember on some of the movies that we watched during the years, we see this big fat guy, and he's wealthy, and usually you might see in some European, like in England or Scotland or something like that, these wealthy people in the 1500s, 1600s, 1700s, and they're fat, and they got these peasants coming up to him and ask him, King such and such and such, and he got this big bone drumstick, and he's fat, slobbering grease down him, you know what I'm saying, and he slams the food, and all kind of food over him, and these people are starving, hungry, and skinny, and they're asking the king for something. That's a level of arrogance. That's a level of pride. And wealthy people during those times would show that to people that they were subjugating to. So having an abundance of food showed a level of wealth. And this is the arrogance. This is some of the arrogance that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is showing us that we shouldn't have over other people. However, we live in a society where food is abundance. So it's kind of difficult to show that level of arrogance unless you go to the extreme wealth, and you might go to a banquet and it's real nice, and they got the shrimps and the steaks and the chicken and the turkey and the beef, and you know what I'm saying? And then you might feel that level of arrogance around wealthy people. But for us, we generally don't see it because we're not connected to the earth anymore. We're not connected to nature anymore. We don't know how to farm. It's a good idea that we have the Medina Garden, and here at Masjid movement, that we get a taste of what farming is about. So it's good, but we're not connected to our food like that. We don't raise animals, and so many of the people who are vegetarians or vegans, they don't eat animals. A lot of them not based upon is an animal not good for them, based upon they feel that you're torturing the animal when you slaughter them. So they say this is not humane to the animal. So they're not connected to farming and know how to properly slaughter an animal and give the animal its rights of slaughtering, which is the bihab, what we just talked about. That's the rights of an animal to be slaughtered properly. So they're not connected to that. And so when they finally see it, because they're used to going to the grocery store, it's dramatic for them. Not to say that here in this society, because it's an economical production of meat, it's not really done in a humane way. So it's done very savagely, and so it's terrifying to a lot of people. Like, wow, they're actually doing that. Wow, I didn't know that. So they're not connected to nature. People are not connected to nature anymore. And that's very important. We need to be connected. So we need not to be extravagant, overeating our food, not exceeding the limits. And we not need to be arrogant. Now it's interesting in this verse in Surah Aleph, ayat 31, there is extensive tafsir written on it about health, about eating, and this, and to be specific about this verse. So a lot of us, we should try to read the tafsir on this verse because it's very interesting. In Muraf al-Quran is the tafsir. It says that it's 8 rulings out of this verse. So in short, 8 rulings of the Sharia comes out of this one statement. Eat and drink and do not be extravagant. He says, number 1, eating and drinking is obligatory as needed. In other words, eating and drinking is obligatory for the Muslim. We don't go to the extremes on the other hand and don't eat less, too much less where it harms your body, where you're not getting the nutrients in your body, or you're not getting water in your body, you're becoming dehydrated. So we don't go into the extremes, which leads me to say that this is where the month of Ramadan is coming up. And many of us have the assumption that fasting is connected to losing weight. Fasting is not a great way of losing weight. And fasting can be unhealthy for you doing it improperly. And this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts conditions on fasting. That's why it's conditions on fasting, so you do not harm yourself while you're fasting. Because we remember many of the Sahabas told Rasulullah, Ya Rasulullah, I could continue to fast. He told them, no, hasten to break your fast, break your fast, break your fast. So it's conditions. So we need nutrients in our body to exist, to live. So you eat too little, you can harm yourself. You eat too much, you can harm yourself. There's a balance. We also understand that Prophet Muhammad said, if you're fasting and you have a bad attitude, bad nature, the only thing that you have done is left your food. That's it. Which entails you that fasting is more than not eating, not having sexual relationships. Fasting is the month for you to wire yourself, radio wire, right? Dial in to your spirituality with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bring you closer to Allah. So your body doesn't use as much energy on eating. And if we all know when you have relations, it takes a lot of energy out of you, so your body has to heal. So you're toning down on that during the month. And using your energy that you're reserving for that month to dial in and bring yourself closer to have an intimate conversation and relationship with your Lord, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is siyam. That is fasting. Many of us miss that. That's why when you are fasting and you're negative, you're a pessimist, you don't have a good nature to yourself, then you haven't. The Rasulullah is saying that you haven't not really fast. You don't really understand what the fast is about. You just left some food. That's all you did. That's it. So fasting, understanding that fasting is not a good way of having weight control. Even though it can have some benefits with health. Some benefits with health. He said, too, unless the unlawfulness of something stands prove that based on the evidence admitted by the Sharia, everything is halal. In other words, he's saying that if it ain't clearly haram, it's halal. He said 3, the use of things prohibited by Allah and His Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is israf and impermissibility. In other words, being extravagant, going past the limits, going past the boundaries. It's not permissible for you doing. You're actually committing a sin. Taking as haram what Allah has made halal is also israf, a grave sin. If something is halal, you can't haram it. You're going past the limits that Allah has set. You cannot make something haram halal. So let's go back. Some Muslim vegetarians or vegans are saying, well, we should eat cow because of this. Allah made it halal, so you can't haram it. So you have exceeded the limits. You can't haram it. Now it's different if something is placed into the animal, like steroids, like GMOs. Then that's different. It's something that you're changing the makeup of the animal that Allah has made halal for you. Then that's a different story, it's a different topic, and then you go on and deal with that. In other words, you can't put something haram and something halal and say it's halal, right? So you can't cook with wine in chicken, even though the chicken was a biha, and then say the food is halal. No, it's haram. It's haram. You put najasa into something that was clean. Tahir, right? So it becomes najasa. There's no cooking out alcohol.
You might use battery. I just changed it yesterday. Oh. Cheap.
There's no cooking out alcohol. So you can't put something that's filthy, haram, into something halal and then say it's halal. You can't do that. Nor can you say something halal is haram. You're exceeding the limit. 5, once one has eaten his fill, eating any more is impermissibility, being excessive again. Many of us, when we eat until our stomach feels full, which is what we should not be doing. Because you could be eating too much food. You should eat till you're satisfied, but not until your stomach feels hard and full and you're sitting back. Oh. It's excessive. 6, eating so little that one becomes weak and is rendered unable to fulfill his obligation is also israf. In other words, you ate so much, you got the itis. That's why it's always good to have somebody a part of your culture, to, translate what the ulama says. You know what I'm saying? In other words, you got the itis. Now you sitting on the bed, tired. Oh man, I don't want to do that. Knowing that you had an obligation out there in the world to do, that's israf. You have exceeded the limits. That's a sin. The Muslims don't do that. Well, we do that, but Muslims, we shouldn't do that. To keep thinking of eating and drinking all the time is also israf. That's an addiction. You are addicted to food. If you're addicted to food, you need to come to realization that you're addicted to food so you can get some help. Just like if you was addicted to drugs or alcohol. The first step of recovery of anything is understand that you are addicted to something. So a person can be addicted to food. We see it all the time. We see it on TV. My 600-Pound Life, if anybody watched that episode. There are people that are addicted to food. They just get into a slump for some reason, and they eat. And usually it's related to depression. A lot of times related to depression, which is another mental disorder. So, it's a sin for Muslims to do that, though. 8, and last but not least, it is not necessary that one must have what one wishes for at a given time. In other words, every time you want something, you gotta have it. Every time. That's what they're saying. They're saying have some self-restraint. Don't give in. But if you gotta have it all the time, every time you want something, then you're exceeding the limits. So that's some of our religious aspects of dealing with being healthy. And it's very important for us to be healthy in Islam. It's a balance. A lot of times, and this frustrates me the most, because we as Muslims have the perfect faith in every aspect. But many of us don't study our deen. But we'll go and take on the ways of the Buddhists or the Hindus or some other faith with exercise, eating, and saying this is the best way of life. But be Muslim. And a lot of the things that they do is entrenched in their faith. And you have to be careful, because if you're doing something, you may be worshiping something other than Allah, which is shirk, which is the greatest sin. But if we only study our faith, we'll realize that we have the perfect balanced faith. It's all given to us. We just got to read or ask somebody who knows. Which comes to statement Umar ibn al-Khattab said, knowledge before action. You have to know before you act upon a thing. We got to know. If we don't know, then we just don't know. So, a mechanic is one who builds and fix and maintain machinery or a thing. It's not specific to just being an auto mechanic. So I said we're going to be interactive in here, right? Mm-hmm. So how many people are mechanics in here? Got any more mechanics in here? Anybody use their hands? They build things? 3, 4, 5 mechanic. When you're learning your trade and what you like to do, it's very inspiring to you, right? It's very interesting. Every time you learn something new, you're like, wow, I didn't know that, right? Should be. You Pacific mechanics, I asked you to study the anatomy. The human anatomy is amazing. How our bodies work. And I can't understand why anybody who's a scientist would not believe in God. Because the signs are there. It's just amazing to me. Believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Learn the human anatomy. Everybody know what a brain is, right? Can somebody tell me the functionality of a brain? Okay. Anybody else?
To help your body function.
Okay. Anybody else? Control? Control the heart, you said? Or control the body. Okay. Anybody else like to share?
Learn.
Translates.
All those answers are great. because the brain is the soul. It's the main function in your body that controls your body in every aspect. By thinking, by breathing, by pumping the blood, everything. It's the computer. It's your brain. This is why many doctors say, even though your body's living and your brain is dead, you are dead. And so they pronounce you dead. They may have the machines keeping you alive, but your brain is not alive. So they pronounce you dead. It's the computer. It's what operates your life. This is how you have a wholesome life, is your brain. Now, saying that, when you think that would be one of the most important things that we take care of in our body, is our brain. Wouldn't you? Do you think that's the most important thing in your body to take care of is your brain? Of course. Yeah? No? Anybody agree? I would say so. Y'all agree?
Well, I think it's important, but I mean, if it does a good job of taking care of itself, I don't know if I put that high on the priority list.
I'm saying as an individual in your body, I think it's the most important part of the brain, so I would think we as individuals should take care of it the most. Mm-hmm. You agree or disagree with that?
I agree.
Okay. Anybody else agree or disagree with that? So we need to know how to take care of it. Right? That would be the next question. Well, how do we take care of it? Well, since we're dealing with the aspects, there's many ways of taking care of your brain. Intellectually, reading, studying, languages, they say, strengthens your brain. It's an exercise that strengthens your brain. Okay? A part of your brain. It's the cerebrum. It's 4 parts of your brain. Okay? We're not going to go that deep into it because we're dealing with science. But it's different parts of your brain that you can exercise. Okay? But the first part that we could do is to put proper nutrients in our body to make our brain healthy. Does anybody know what nutrients is? Can somebody give us examples of nutrients?
Things your body needs regarding maybe protein, certain vitamins, minerals. That sustain your body. I mean, different parts of the body.
Absolutely right. Nutrients. There are macronutrients. There are micronutrients. Macronutrients is protein, carbs, fats. These are macronutrients. These are what they call large nutrients. Little nutrients or micronutrients are what they call vitamins. Vitamin A, B, C, D. Minerals. Fibers. These are micronutrients. Okay? Nutrients are very important to us to understand what we are putting in our bodies that is good and that is bad. Okay? Carbohydrates. There are good carbohydrates, there are bad carbohydrates. Good carbohydrates are good for you. Bad carbohydrates are bad for you. Simple as that. There's good fats. There's good fats and there are bad fats. There's saturated fat, there are unsaturated fats. And protein. Fiber. Vitamins. So we're going to go back to when we say that a thing that is good for you, that is permissible, halal, how can it be harmful to you? Exactly. We already know the bad is bad, so we won't have to really deal with the bad things. Let's deal with the good things. The good things, being carbohydrates, if you have too much carbohydrate, it turns to fat. your body stores fat, which is a cause of obesity, right? So you can have good carbohydrates, which is good for the brain. This nutrient is very excellent for the brain. However, if you have too much carbohydrates, it stores into fat cells. And if you have too much fat, which is good fats, right, it will store into your body, which will cause obesity. And having obesity will cause what? Possibly heart failure or cardiac arrest. Could shut down your liver or your kidney. Could give you blood pressure. It could give you hypertension. It could affect your arthritis, osteoarthritis, and so forth, and cancer. Okay. A lot of things it gives you high cholesterol. You need to understand diseases like cholesterol. Fat is the number one cause of high cholesterol. So you having too much fat. So your body is storing it. Okay. What it does is fat begins to store and it begins to clog up your arteries. And really, saturated fat is the worst because it hardens fast, where unsaturated fat doesn't harden as quickly as saturated fat. So saturated fat comes from meats, breads, sugar, cakes, and it gets hard at room temperature. And that's why it clogs up your arteries, and it prevents your heart, which is this next, we'll get to that, it's the next major important part of your body. It'll be your heart, your spinal cord. The spinal cord, your heart pumps the blood. It's the actual brake lines to your ABS brake system, right? It's the veins, it's the lines, the water lines in your house that goes to your faucet. It carries the nutrients to different parts of your body to feed your body. That's what your heart does. It pumps blood in and out throughout your body. It pumps those nutrients. Okay? It's on the layman's term. It can get very, very sophisticated though. Okay? Your spinal cord is your central how do you say that? You know, like back in the day, you just had the phones, and the lady, the operator, she kind of clicks, dial me over here, dial me. That's what your spinal cord does. It sends signals out in to different parts of your body.
Like a switchboard.
Like a switchboard.
Electrical system.
Yeah. That's why I say the anatomy is amazing. It's amazing. So when you get your spinal cord down, you're in bad shape, you're in bad shape. You're a vegetable. Because no matter what your brain wants to do, your body's not going to do it because it hasn't sent the signal out. That's why when people become paralyzed, because they damage part of their spinal cord. So it's amazing that we need to know these. So to go back, fat clogs the arteries, which gives you a heart attack or a stroke. It prevents the blood to flow, for the heart to push the blood through the veins. So eating too much of it is harmful to us. These things we should understand. This is basic level. Carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, fibers, minerals, vitamin, and understand certain vitamins could cause problems, like vitamin A. You have too much of it, it can harm your body. You have too much of it, it can harm your body. And this will go on for long, and I want to kind of cut it short because the Imam has his class. But the point is for us as Muslims that in order to balance out our health, we have to understand what are we putting in our bodies? It's very important. The thing I want to touch on is something you just said there. If my brain could take care of itself, why worry about it? Many of us, we take supplements, we do detox, we do all these things to try to assist our bodies or make our bodies better. But if you really look at the anatomy, the body's already created to take care of itself, as long as we put proper nutrients in it. Your skin is a detox. It detoxes bad things in your body. Your liver is a detox. Your kidneys is a detox. Your lungs are a detox. These are things in your body that cleanse, filters, and flush out. Right? Question for you. Where does your body hold urine?
Bladder.
Okay. Why does it hold urine? Anybody know?
You said, why does it hold it?
Mm-hmm. Why is there urine in your bladder?
So you don't go around peeing on yourself.
Good answer. Good answer.
Why not filter out waste?
The kidneys put it there.
Your kidneys filters out your urine, your liquids in your body, and it stores the urine into your bladder until you're ready to release it. That's amazing. So that don't mean like, so every time fluids come into you, you don't pee on yourself. Ain't that amazing? That's how law works. So if your kidney shuts down, or if your bladder shuts down, what happens? You're not functioning well, are you? We got to learn anatomy, and we got to learn the proper nutrients for that. However, my point is to show you that a law has already placed in the place of us to detox certain things in our bodies. It's already there. The problem is that we put junk in our bodies, or we overwork our bodies where our body doesn't work properly. And a lot of us, because we're young, and we do it very when we're young, because we're healthy, we don't need certain things, and we just do whatever. I don't care. I'm going to eat this. I'm going to drink that. I'm going to do this. And then us older people, oh man, my knees are breaking down. Oh man, my heart just had a stroke. Oh man, you know what I'm saying? It's an endless thing.
Isn't that what diabetes is from? Isn't that what diabetes is from? I don't know.
Diabetes is a illness that can affect the kidneys.
No, I'm talking about as far as, because my understanding of what I was told was, one major cause of diabetes is that if you, overload, say for example with sugars or what have you,
Exactly.
that the insulin or whatever, it just stops, it either stops making it or whatever, because it's right
But
there.
also on the other hand, you have too less of a sugar too.
And that's due to the pancreas?
Yeah, so it's a balance, because it's two different types of diabetes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's one when you have too much sugar, and it's one that you have not enough sugar, basically. Okay, so it's a balance. But your good point is that diabetes, and many of us African Americans right here, that's the number one cause of our health problems: diabetes. Another cause is cholesterol. We have
High blood pressure.
high blood pressure. We have arthritis, flare in our joints, because what we eat causes a lot of flare. Or being obese causes a lot of problems to our joints. These are things that affects us consistently amongst our ethnic group here in America. And a lot of times we think it's just dealing with pork, because we see the non-Muslims over there, they eat pork all. Yeah, pork has its issues. But it doesn't mean that we don't have our problems neither by not eating pork or drinking in alcohol or in drugs. Because again, I said the famous phrase, just because something allowed does not mean it won't harm you. And we just read verses of the Quran, the Hadith, that's showing us that we have to have balance in our halal. Now, I'm going to kind of end this a little quickly and let you keep going. One thing about dealing with watching our weight. Anybody understand or know what calories are? Okay. Please.
What is it?
Yeah.
Oh, basically energy. I mean, well, it turns into energy, but it's parts of food source that you need calories. Or to have energy and be able to break stuff down.
Anyone else? It's partially correct. Something that we need to understand. Calories is the measurement of energy. That's how we measure how much energy we put in our body. Nutrients is energy. It turns into energy, and then your body discards what's too much, if it's good, or what's bad out of your body through urine, through feces, through through your skin, through breathing, and tear ducts. Okay? So calories are energy. And what I didn't get into talking about digestive system, but there's parts like the stomach, we all know it's part of your digestive system. Eating, your esophagus going down, part of your digestive system. Your small and large intestine, specifically your small intestines, is the major part of your digestive system, which when you eat food or drink food, it begins to break down your food into what your body needs in terms of protein, carbs, fats, vitamins, fibers, and so forth. Okay? Calories is the measurement of energy. Our body needs a certain level of energy to function daily. Okay? You need that energy. It is to say, average American male, 5'10", around 180 pounds is average. Say that he should have anywhere between 2,000 to 2,500 calories a day. It varies based upon genetics. It varies based upon race, really, it does. And it varies based upon gender. Okay? However, that's what they say, a basis or of your calories. So when you look on the back of the pack and they say calories based upon 2,500 calories a day, that's what they're talking about. Okay? You need to consume, let's say, at least 2,000 calories a day. But you have to burn just as much calories a day too. So you consume 2,000, you burn 2,000. What does that leave you?
Ground zero.
Ground zero. Basically meaning that your weight stays the same. If you consume too much calories and you burn less calories, you're going to gain weight. Simple as that. If you eat less calories and burn more calories, you're going to lose weight. Simple mathematics. Now, you know, it's naysayers out there that say, well, we don't agree with counting calories and this and that, blah, 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 blah. But this is, you know, is not 100% accurate and this and that. It's the only way that you're going to be able to measure energy in your body, though. There's no other way. Counting calories is a good way to start understanding what you're putting in your bodies and how much you're putting in your bodies. So, why everybody got Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat, go on Google Play or the iPhone list, download an app that's dealing with fitness and health, and learn how to count your calories. There you have it. I mean, this country is amazing when it comes to knowledge, man. The West in general. And I truly believe that in understanding our health and the body, you know, the West, and I'm talking about the West as a whole, is probably up here in the amount of people that understand it, amount of common people that understand it, not scholars. Like if we ask, just like we just talked about, you generally understand certain things because it's been spoon fed to us through the TV, through the news, through your doctors. So generally, we all as common people understand some level of health. We learned it in school, more so than a lot of other places out there in the world. And I've been to other places out in the world, and I've seen how people are really void of knowledge of certain things, especially basic health. But we are the worst caretakers of our bodies. And we have to remember that our bodies alone from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we don't really belong to ourselves. We belong to Allah. Allah gave you something to take care of. How selfish are you going to be to say, well, I don't care about it. I'm not even worried about it. And by far, only Allah, we do not know our time of death. We could be the healthiest person, and I could die tomorrow. Only Allah knows my time of death. I could be the obese person, and I could live for the next 100 years. Allah can make that happen. But it doesn't mean that we have to go down a path of destruction and destroying ourselves. Now, I'm not saying that everybody's perfect and there's a perfect world and you're going to eat everything perfect. Not saying that. What I want you to do is, because I'm not that perfect, I still eat cakes and cookies and candies too. But have some moderation. Try to train yourself and teach yourself about how to understand what you're feeding yourself. How much food is you're feeding yourself. If you want to go on a diet, you have to eat less than what you're burning. And we have to exercise. You have to exercise your body. You have to. A lot of us don't like exercise. I'm gonna tell you, for me, the first thing that I did was walk. We're the most laziest people probably in the world is the West, because we make things for convenience. We would rather go to the gas station in our car to get a pop, soda, and come right back to the Masjid rather than walk to help yourself burn energy. Not only burn energy, but you're exercising your muscles, you're strengthening your muscles in your body. So we get in the car, we get lazy. So you have to, and the Imam was saying this when he was talking about his detox that he did, you know, that he lost a little bit of weight. And if you want to maintain that rate or continue something after that, that you have to change your way of thinking. You have to change your way of thinking. You have to, just like you do, you get up and go to work, and we all do. I've been there. Life will get you. Life will put you in a rut, and especially being here in America, is making you move fast. You got to go to work. You got to take care of the kids. You got to take the kids to the football. You got to take your wife to the grocery store. It's all kind of things that you have to do during the day that will prevent you from exercising. And sitting in the car, you're not exercising. You do burn calories, though. Do everybody know that you burn calories throughout the day? Did y'all know that?
Not in the car, no, I didn't know that. How's that?
I'm going to answer this. Do you know you burn calories while you sleep?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just for your body to run, right?
Your body is like an engine. It's constantly running. Just because we sleep or we sitting here, our bodies don't shut down. If it shut down, we'd be what?
Dead.
That's why your breath tastes good. That's why your breath tastes good.
Very simple. It's as simple as that. So your body's constantly using energy. Constantly using energy. And while it's using that energy, it's burning calories off. However, when you're sitting, or you're sleeping, or you're resting, it burns calories slowly. But if you're exercising, if you're jogging, you're walking, you're on a bike, you're swimming, playing a basketball, when your heart rate pumps, just like an engine, what? You're using more energy. You're using more energy, you got more spark. Your heart start pumping. That's why they tell you you burn more calories when your heart rate is higher. Now so you're burning more energy. And you're burning energy faster. And this is why we should at least do some sort of exercise. Walking is good, but understand, if you walk, I walk 30 minutes, I might burn 200 some calories. It ain't much calories, but it's a lot more than me sitting down. But once you start a thing, then you want to do something else. So I work out with little weights. I hit the punching bag. I redo martial arts that I know in college. I do a lot, plus work. Consequently, I'm a construction worker. My brother here is a construction worker. We believe that since we work in construction, that we're getting exercise. Okay, well, we're getting somewhat of an exercise, but in the reality, we have to be fit to do the construction work. That's the reality. It's not the other way around. We get some, but not a lot. But we do burn a lot of calories, some more calories, the amount of work that we do, because it's physical, especially if our heart rate is pumping. So you want to get into exercises that you could do to make your heart rate pump. Burpees, jumping jacks. If you're walking, get healthy steps. Because, I have bad knees, so I can't do the jogging like I used to do. So I walk. You remember the power walk? We used to be laughing, power walk. That's all to get your heart pumping. They say that 100 steps in a minute is healthy steps. You want to get healthy steps in. You don't want to get lazy steps. It takes you 5 minutes to get up the block, a normal person, and it takes you 30 minutes to get up there. I mean, it's all good for you, don't get me wrong, but you want to do more so it can do better for you. Get a fitness app on your phone. I mean, we got stuff that makes us lazy, but they got stuff that help us too. Get fitness app on your phone and do fitness every day through your phone. They got all kinds of stuff to help you out. This will help you maintain your weight, it'll help you lose weight, and keep you from being obese. But again, remember, you have to burn more than you consume. Or at least balance it out if you're happy with your weight. So, I'm going to end here, and inshallah, it's very important because a lot of times we talk about salah, we talk about fasting, and then this is the month of Ramadan, we're going into the month of Ramadan, and a lot of these rules, we can use in Ramadan, but more so we want to use coming out of the month of Ramadan, where we're fresh and ready, And remember that there's other things that have rights over us, including our body. We're focused on everything else, but we don't focus on ourselves. And then what happens is, I've sit here and watched many elderly Muslims break down, and it ain't fun being sick and hurt, especially when you're old, because you don't heal as fast. So try to take care of your bodies now, and so you can be healthy in the hereafter. Healthy as time goes on with your life. Another note is, we sometimes, we get in the habit of bashing non-Muslims. I hate to say it on live TV, but many of them non-Muslims are extremely healthy. Extremely healthy. How you gonna defend yourself?
Quick.
If you can't go right.
Quick.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, and that's just the reality. You know, how can you defend your wife? You got a angry mob that don't like Muslims, and they coming down the street at you. How are you gonna defend them physically? How can you do that? Your wife expects you to defend her. I know mine does. So this is at your manhood. You want to look at the ultimate man to your wife. Oh man, my Habibi, man, he took on like 2 or 3 cats, like he was like a superhero or something. You know what I'm saying?
It's 2018, Ox. She's supposed to take care of us. We're supposed to be hiding under her your back.
Stop, that might be the case though. A lot of us, we always, we got the roles switched and everything, but look at that level. Take care of yourself so you could defend your family, defend the honor of your family, your wife and the kids. If need be. If need be. If you're ready, you ain't gotta get ready. Don't get beat down and say, dang man, I need to get this gym, man. Your pride, everything else hurts. So I mean, reality, man, we have to look at what's truth and truth. Many people that are not Muslim, they're taking care of themselves, but we're not taking care of ourselves. And a lot of times it has to do with because our hospitality to Muslims, when we get together, the first thing we do is bring food. And there's nothing wrong with that because that's sadaqah and we get reward for that. And we should continue to do that. What we should do is have self-restraint. Just because we see a lot of food don't mean we got to eat a lot of food. So you have to have some self-restraint. So it's a part of our culture to feed people, to feed Muslims. And we should continue to do that. We have family that continue to bring food. That's what we should do.
Healthy food.
And healthy food, And one day we'll start talking about all the unhealthy things that people are putting into foods. That we talked about HMOs, we talked about, steroids, we talked about aspartame, sucralose, all kind of just L-cysteine. We know we're not supposed to eat gelatin, different monoglyceride that could be from vegetable or animal, but glycerin, pespin. There's a lot of things that we look for as Muslims when we look at the ingredients. We go looking for that type of stuff. But not one of us go over and look at, man, how many calories is in there? Hey, that's a lot of calories for that. We gotta learn how to count calories. Get you a scale. Get something that's gonna remind you. Don't get depressed. You get up there and like, God dang, man, I'm 285.
I ain't gonna be depressed when I'm 25.
Yeah, I'm just saying. And when I first started, I wanted to get down to 285. I was like, sheesh. But we use it as a motivator. Use it as a motivator. Some of y'all who can get a food scale, you know what I mean by that. Some of y'all ain't supposed to have no scales at all, the food scale. But some of y'all who has a food scale, get a food scale, start weighing your food. Start weighing your food. Okay? See how much it weighs. Because if you know the weight of your food, you know how many calories is in it.
Huh?
Yes. Well, if you look on your package and it says 150 calories, 210 grams, or 3 ounces, it's telling you that it's 150 calories and it's 3 ounces. It weighs 3 ounces. Or it weighs 251 grams. So, learn to weigh your food. It becomes frustrating. My wife, she gets frustrated with me all the time, but as you go, because I always say, look, please, I need you to weigh that. I want you to weigh that for me. But once you go, it becomes a habit. It becomes a habit. It's habitual. And it's like nothing. It's just secondhand. You start thinking. Now you're thinking like, what am I putting in my body? We have food addiction. We got sugar addiction. Bad. Sugar, as you said, is another cause of what's killing us, diabetes. Sugar is bad. We all like cakes, cookies, sodas, Kool-Aid, all that. I don't even want to hear that. Look, all I'm saying is you got to find ways of cutting your sugar down. I ain't saying that you can't have sugar. Some sugars are good in small amounts. You buy some small amount. We eat way too much sugar. Sugar is in everything. All types of sugar is in everything. It's different types of sugars. It's in everything. It's different types of sugars. We got to understand what those sugars are and what it's doing to us. Because it's natural, like honey, it's still a sugar. Honey could be good for you, but it's still a sugar. And it can harm you. If you have, like if you just like, I'm not doing no sugar, I'm just all honey. Now you eat, you know, same amount of grams of sugar, you're still adding it into your body. You haven't cut down. So you might not have white refined sugar, but now you got healthy sugar, but it's still sugar. And all you did was just change one for the other. So we got to understand what we do. You don't want to flip-flop in being healthy. You still have to watch those type of things. So have some sugar. It ain't nothing wrong with having a slice of cake, cookie every once in a while, but don't have it 7 days a week. 30 days a month. It's going to affect you. It's going to affect you. Repeatedly. But if you cheat a little bit, then alhamdulillah, you know, you deserve it. You work for it. Sugars. And when I came to find out for myself, a lot of sugar other than food that we cut down on is our drinks. The sugary drinks that we drink holds a lot of sugar. Sodas, Kool-Aids, Gatorades, you name it. Whatever you're drinking out there, you name it. Coffee. If we keep putting a whole lot of sugar in coffee. I substituted for stevia. Now, some people don't like stevia. It's a natural sweetener. It has 0 calories. Doesn't really do nothing to your body. They made a study years ago to try with these rats that has no anatomy like ours to try to say that it'll sterilize a male rat. But this is a plant that was in the Amazon that many Amazonians that have many babies from here now and on that they were using the plant stevia. But if you don't want to use it, you feel sterilized, you know. But point taken is, you know, you have other things that are out there like that you can use that's better than regular white sugar, and you want to look into that. And if you replace a sweetener, try to replace it so it have less calories and less sugar, because sugar holds a lot of calories. So your drinks is like number one before even you eat, because we drink a lot. And that's why I find out for me. So, you know, most of the time, it's not to say that I don't indulge in soda once in a while, but most of the time my coffee, I'm either drinking black in the morning, and then in the evening I put a little cream and I put a little sweet. Yeah, a little stevia in it to sweeten it up. During the day I drink green tea with stevia in it, most of the time. Cold green tea. Or water. Now water is the essential part of life, and this is what helps filters out your body, is water. It also helps keep your body at a certain temperature. It also helps keep your organs moist. So you need water. So if you're constantly putting things into water, you're not allowing your body to do what it needs to be done. So when I was saying about detoxing and things of that nature, simply, not to say that a person can't detox, but simply if you start putting things in your body is going to naturally detox itself. It's going to cleanse itself naturally. But if you put a bunch of stuff in your body, then you're going to need all kind of help you get. Probably colonoscopy. You know what I'm saying? You know, I was again a little while ago, you know, I could keep going on because it's a big subject of understanding health, fitness, and weight. But alhamdulillah, I hope I was beneficial to you, and I hope that, you know, y'all learned something and maybe take it part of your life. And inshallah, do you have any questions? And by the way, I meant to tell you this a long time ago. If y'all want to eat while we was talking, I'll find it, then I apologize. You know what I mean? But any questions?
What's your view on agave sweetener?
Agave is not a very good sweetener for you. A lot of agave sweeteners have high fructose corn syrup in it, and high fructose corn syrup is like death for a lot of us. Now, again, if you was eating high fructose corn syrup in this moderation, it probably wouldn't affect you. But high fructose corn syrup or corn, because the United States government has processed corn, number one, genetically, unnaturally. They genetically make corn. Okay? Number two, they place corn in everything. As sweeteners, as well as flour, white flour, refining white flour too. And flour creates carbs. Sugar creates carbs. Carbs creates fat. Very simple.
I thought carbs created sugars when they break down.
But I'm saying sugar creates carbs. And carbs create, because you need carbs. Sugar creates carbs, and carbs creates fat.
What if there's no fructose or corn syrup?
But I'll double check to make sure.
In agave, what if there's nothing like that in
Then
there?
it shouldn't be a problem. You know what I'm saying? You just want to make sure that the
That means it's
level of
pure.
sugar, the pure sugar that's in it, you know what I'm saying, and how much calories you have in it that you're using. You know what I'm saying? That your body's burning. But most of them that I've seen have high fructose corn syrup to be guave. You know, so even the organic ones I've seen. So, and you know, for me, I'm not sold on organic like that. Okay? And the only reason why is I live in a farm area where they produce probably 75% of the vegetation in America, and the stores that you get, especially like Walmart and these major chain stores. And they also had organic farms there, right next to them. And they were spraying pesticides here, and it was coming over here. Now, however, I'm not saying it's bad. What I'm saying is, I don't believe it's 100% organic when they say organic. Okay. The best way of eating is first to get your food, your seeds not genetically made, and to have your own farm. That's the best way to eat, to produce your own food. And it's better for you to eat food in your region. Because, as our Imam tells us many a time, when you get a disease, it's a cure in that disease. Right? It's a cure either in it or around it. Right? So, the honey that we take, our allergies that we get, that we're allergic to the pollen, the honey gets from those pollens, and when you start eating that honey that in the region, you become immune to the pollen there, and it helps you subside your allergies. So same thing with fruits and vegetables, because your environment that around you affects you. So all the nutrients that you're eating out of your fruits and vegetables, boom. Also, I'm the omnivore. My man back there, he taught me this word. I don't know if you remember. He taught me this word years ago, brother back there. I'm an omnivore. In other words, we eat meat and vegetables at the same time. But one time I said I'm a carnivore. He said, no, you're an omnivore. So he taught that to me, man. I always remember that, right? So we eat meat and vegetables. Our Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was not a vegetarian. And this is not attacking people who are vegetarians or vegans, but he was not. And he's the perfect example of us. However, he didn't eat meat every day. He did not eat meat every day. Matter of fact, he didn't eat a whole lot of food every day. Matter of fact, with the hadith I was just reading earlier, when he was talking to Aisha radiallahu anha, that he noticed that she ate twice in that day. And he said, is it going to become a view that you're eating is going to become your business? As if that's what you're going to be doing all the time? And this is twice a day. Now, how many times we eat in America?
Consistently, all day.
All day. Now, if you're a fitness person, you working out or you working on a job, you're going to need more nutrients, of course, to help. But the point taken is that he didn't eat that much. He ate very low, and he didn't eat really a whole lot of vegetables, because there wasn't a whole lot of vegetables in Arabia anyway. There's some fruits and vegetables, so let's be real about that. And he didn't eat certain meats because certain meats wasn't there in that culture. Like, I've asked sheikhs all the time, was there chickens around the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? And I have not got an answer yet. Say, no, I don't remember reading on hadith with any chickens. It might have been some type of bird, but not a chicken. So that goes from the environment that you live in. So he didn't eat meat every day. Umar ibn al-Khattab said meat is addictive. He called it like a drug, like it's addictive. He said, don't eat meat every day. So, I love meat. I like the flesh, you know what I'm saying? If you eat meat every day, drop down in your quantity. That's all. Drop in quantity. So, any other questions? I'm sorry, man, for taking so long. It's going to be a long way. I apologize. That wasn't my intention. Thank y'all, brothers, for bearing patience with me and listening to the show.
Oh, I think that was Umar that said that about the overweight.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum.
Well, they can song to Allah.
Before I start, I just want to let everyone know who's here. The talks that you're hearing today they're being shared on my Facebook page, the Masjid's Facebook page, and inshallah this evening or in the morning we'll put it on our YouTube page. And everybody who's watching online now, I believe the information that was passed out was very important and very critical. So share this video, even if you just tune in there just right now, share the video so they can get all of the information, because it was extremely beneficial. Inshallah, we're going to go up until Maghrib, which is not very long. Inshallah, and then eat. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen wa afdalu salatu wa tamu taslim ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. ورضي الله تعالى عن سادة التابعين وعلماء العاملين وأئمة الأربعة المجتهدين ومقلديهم إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد. Once again, Assalamu alaikum. Dude, G gonna kill me. The mic, man. Get the mic system. So this is what I've been talking about, right? I apologize, sisters. Alhamdulillah, we're gonna get it together, inshallah. I hope you're not too anxious and, in your mind you're just thinking about imagining what type of food is back there. It ain't going nowhere.
Don't like me when I'm angry.
Yeah, right. Man, I've been in this Masjid, Maghrib is like 5-6 minutes in. I thought Bell was gonna swing on me. Literally, a couple times.
During Ramadan?
Yeah, during Ramadan. I thought he was gonna hook off on me. Then you got that dilemma as a Muslim. Okay, if a Muslim hit me, I hit him back.
That's what towel's for.
He said that's what towel's for. Preemptive towels. So I hope we're not like that. I hope we're a little bit more mature than that. Alhamdulillah. As he said earlier, we have to be a little bit more disciplined. Inshallah, I want to make 7 quick points. 7 things that will safeguard your fast. So this is not going to be like a 50 type lecture. It's going to get all technical and all of that. I just want to mention some general things about fasting that will help protect and safeguard your fast. The first thing that I want to mention is that, number 1, it's an obligation. Not only is it an obligation, but it's part of what makes you Muslim, this particular fast. It's one of the arkan of Islam. is one of the things that if you don't do it without an excuse, willingly, and you don't look at it as an obligation, you cease to be a Muslim, even if you pray 20 times a day. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kutiba alaykumus siyam kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum la'alakum tattaqun. O you who believe, fasting has been ordained or has been prescribed or has been made obligatory upon you as it was obligatory on those who came before you, so that you may achieve taqwa. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. Allah mentions, la'allakum tattaqun. This is why you're doing all of this. Not to lose weight, not to concentrate on food. The purpose of the fast is to get close to Allah, to have the God consciousness. Allah just gave us a tool, a special tool, during this blessed time of month in order to be able to do that. He taught us a way to regulate our food in such a way that we get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So number one, fasting is an obligation, it's not a choice. That's the first thing. Number two, al-Jamaa'ah, cling to it. The Muslim community, cling to it. A lot of us, we're radical individualists. We think it's all about me and everything is around me, and we think the deen is restricted by what we think or what we feel. And we think the deen of Islam has to get filtered through our intellect and our feelings, when it's the other way around. The reason why I said the community, how the community is going to safeguard your fast, is because one aspect, and we talked about it something yesterday, is that it's not your job as a regular Muslim individual to determine when the month of Ramadan starts and ends. It's the obligation of the leadership to determine when Ramadan starts or ends. And if a mistake is made, it's not on you, it's on the leader. But a lot of us, because we're addicted to social media, we take our Islam from social media, or we take our Islam from some other form of technology, that we think we don't need the Muslim community, when in fact we're bringing more harm to ourselves. As I said yesterday, we have literally heard reports, people swearing by Allah, that XYZ brothers from XYZ city, they went and looked for the moon and they saw the moon, so we fasted. And we contacted brothers and they say, we ain't seen no moon. There are people that will, like we said yesterday, there are people who substitute soap operas and TV shows with social media. So they actually get off, seeing you get off in a frenzy, arguing, debating, or making a wrong decision about your deen. Making a wrong decision about your deen because of some false information that they put out there. There's people that actually get off on that. And some of them, I claim to be really Muslim. They'll just get on the internet, put some fake information out there and see, just watch it go. 500 likes, 200 shares. There's some false information. And you began your fast based upon some false information. And so, stick to the community. Your community. That does not mean you can't go to another masjid or what have you, but you need to begin fasting when your community begins fasting. This is one of the problems with people that insist on following Saudi in their pronouncements. Approximately 5 years ago, give or take a few years, all of the people that follow Saudi in this country, they follow Saudi like they normally do every year, even though their top scholars, their top ones, not their students who are running the show now, their top scholars told them that it's better to go with deciding in your country. They ignore that, they go with Saudi. And every year in Ramadan, every year, without fail, every single year, they said, oops, we made a mistake. We said fasting begins on this day and it really begins on that day. But us Muslims in America, we not really paying attention to that stuff because we don't care. Because, you know, we had to eat. I don't care about the Islamic calendar anymore. But if you monitor the Saudi media and their newspapers, even their English language newspapers, they'll announce, oh, such and such, from such and such region of the peninsula, said they saw the moon. We investigated, and I think 2 years ago they said they saw a planet, a Saturn or something. They said they saw something crazy. And so they was paying money to all Saudi citizens who fasted on the wrong day. And they had to make up a day because they only did 28 days according to their calendar. But the people in America that followed them, they didn't know about it, and the ones that knew about it didn't care, and they just, so what? And remember, you know, actions are judged by its intention. And the fast of Ramadan, you have to have the intention to fast in the month of Ramadan, not just a fast. And again, I don't want to get too technical because that's a whole other topic, and I normally do this every year, but I didn't do it this year. So sticking with your community will protect you from that. And I don't want anybody that's here saying, well, we try to say I can become part of your community. No, I'm not saying that. That's beside the point. Whatever community you belong to, stick with them. And begin and end your fast with them. So you don't have those issues about the Eid and all that kind of stuff. I'll save you a lot of headache. And I know it's hard because we communicate with each other over social media, we interact with each other in the city, and you know, everybody thinks that what they're doing is the absolute right and the absolute truth. And so, for example, someone from Masjid may bump into somebody else from another masjid, and they say, hey, Ramadan Mubarak, right? Brother from Masjid he ain't start fasting yet. He was like, why you slept? Right? Right, we don't know how to respond. Well, y'all didn't start fasting yet? Well, we started fasting, and all of a sudden it's like you feel some kind of way, right? And so we don't know how to deal with that. So now it's just a different methodology, and you have sub methodologies, some of which are invalid. I'm not going to bite my tongue on that. Calculations is not valid. And again, we talked about that over and over again. If you want to find a proof on that, I mean, you can just go to our YouTube site and you find it easy. We discussed it so many times. And then you have various levels of citing. International citing, global citing, local citing, and everybody has their own definition of what international and global and local is. Some people, international or global citing really means Saudi, because if Nigeria cites the moon, they ain't following them. They see the Indonesian, they ain't following them, they just run a game on you. It's Saudi, right? So we follow global citing. No, you follow Saudi. Stop playing. Just be honest about it, right? Local, some people, local means the whole, northern hemisphere or the whole East Coast. People got their own, self-made, worked out definitions of local. FYI, our definition of local is how Imam An-Nawawi described it in his commentary on Sahih Muslim. He has a commentary on a hadith that's in the book of fasting. And this is the main proof that the scholars use for going local. In Imam Nawawi's commentary on Sahih Muslim, on that hadith, he explains how you determine what is local and what's not local. And he said the way you determine what's local and what's not local is the same criterion that you use for the traveling salat. So if you live in Pittsburgh, for example, and you're traveling, for argument's sake, to Harrisburg, you begin calculating the mileage or the distance from the outskirts of your city, right? So, for argument's sake, you're driving, as soon as you get off 376 and you hop on 76, you pay the toll, you want to start calculating. It's 48, 50 miles. If you're traveling more than that, then you make your salat as you travel. We know Harrisburg is more than that. So Harrisburg is not local to us. If you understand it. And so that's how Imam An-Nawawi described it, and this is actually how the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam practiced it. So the way to avoid all of that stuff, and most of us are not rooted in this kind of stuff, so to try to become an expert on it 2 days before Ramadan, you just waste your time. Just follow your community. So that was the second point. The third point is something that's obvious. Don't break your fast. Do not break your fast. What do you mean don't break your fast? One way not to break your fast is to not be in a state of ghafla, not to be in a state of heedlessness. Most people that break their fast, they didn't break their fast because they was hungry and they said, sure, I can't take it no more, I'm going to eat. They broke their fast because they usually at work when they walk past this water fountain get a sip of water. So as a habit, they forgot that they were fasting and they went by the water fountain and they went and got a sip. And they said, oh. So you need to dhikr your fast. I'm fasting. Find all types of ways to remind yourself that I'm fasting. Because, again, it's usually habit. We in our routine, we in a time or a place that we usually drink or eat something, and we're not thinking, we just in robot mode, and we eat or drink something. Now, if that happens, a lot of people also don't understand that if that happens, mashallah, there's a hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said that you should continue your fast, because it is Allah that fed him. But a lot of people interpret and extrapolate from that he didn't break his fast. No, he did break his fast. But you still have to continue fasting for that day, and you have to make that day up. A lot of people don't understand that. They say, oh, well, he said, it was a lot of that. It was an accident. He didn't do it intentionally. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said keep fasting, so that means he didn't break his fast. No, he broke his fast. Yes, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said he should continue fasting, but he has to make up that day as well. And that also highlights the danger of reading a hadith and not learning how the Sahaba and all the scholars who come after them interpret that hadith. That's one of the dangers. We read an ayat of Quran and we interpret it based upon our own intellect. And we end up sinking deeper into the rabbit hole. And another rule to remember with fasting is to keep it real simple. If it reaches your throat, you broke your fast. Meaning right here, like where you go away. Like if you swallow some food, like just now, I don't know if you ever noticed, but there was some food caught between my teeth right now. And I took it out and I swallowed it. It's almost to that point where even if I tried to get it up, I have to vomit.
Point of no return.
Yeah, when it gets there, or you know how you get to some thick smoke and it makes you cold. When it gets right there, that it broke your fast. Another thing about breaking your fast. When you get angry, say for example during Ramadan, someone says something to you and you just snap or you get in an argument, you get real heated. Some people say, oh man, I broke my fast. I need to make that day up. No, you're mixing up apples and oranges. You didn't eat, you didn't have intercourse. You did not break your fast technically. You broke your fast on a spiritual level. You don't have to make that day up. A lot of people get those things confused. So, okay, I got angry or I lost my cool, so that means, I blew my fast. Let me just go eat a cheeseburger since I blew my fast anyway. So, no. You didn't break your fast technically, legally speaking, from a big perspective. But you may have not received the spiritual benefit of your fast because you snapped out. And only Allah knows best. It's the same way that if a Muslim, a'udhu billah, we seek refuge with Allah, goes to a soothsayer. Or another example I'll give, someone drinks alcohol. Their prayer is not valid for a certain amount of days. Some people interpret that, and again, it's wrong. No scholar will agree with you. being that my prayer is not valid, that means I don't have to pray for those amount of days. No. You still have to pray those prayers. It's still obligatory upon you. You just may not be getting the reward or the benefit that you would be getting had you not done those things that invalidate your prayer. So don't get apples and oranges mixed up. Number 4, suhoor. Do not neglect it. A lot of people think, okay, I'm strong, I don't really need suhoor, I woke up to, no. And really, our suhoor, if we're going to have a big meal, and we shouldn't have a big meal, because he just mentioned all the proofs from that, from some of the flower, even in Ramadan. But if you were to have a big meal, it should be suhoor, not iftar. But most of us, we do it backwards. Our suhoor can barely carry us through a long day in the summer working. Then our iftar be all huge and gigantic, and Isha come in, before Isha come in, everybody in the Masjid farting, trying to get ready to leave, and then nobody wants to pray Tarawih because you did it backwards. If you're going to overeat, and again, I'm not saying you should overeat, but if you were to do that, it should be done during suhoor. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said in the hadith that one of the things that distinguish us, our fast from the fast of the ummah that came before us, is the suhoor. So we should not neglect it. Number 5, iftar. We shouldn't rush it. Meaning, we should rush to break our fast when Maghrib comes in. And Maghrib comes in when the sun sets. Meaning when the whole sun is gone, you can't see it. As soon as that happens, Maghrib comes in. And it's really hard to demonstrate in Pittsburgh because it's very hilly. But if we had the pleasure of being in places like California or even Philadelphia, because I'm saying Philadelphia because I lived there and it's right by the river, you know, you can get around the buildings in the city. You can actually see the sunset. And if you watch these things, you know that most of your apps and prayer schedules, they're about 6 to 8 minutes fast. And it's because of a calculation discrepancy that the so-called scholars in the ISNA, the Islamic Society of North America, their scholarly body, they differ with the vast majority of the scholars of the Ummah on how many degrees that the sun needs to be below the horizon before it sets. They make it less. So that mathematically works out to about between 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes. So if you follow most of your apps, if you live in North America, and you don't adjust them, 9 times out of 10, your Maghrib prayer is coming in too early. And a lot of times we're kind of lax with our prayers anyway during the rest of the year, so it don't matter because you're in the masjid and they, waiting for people to make wudu, you waiting for the time that the prayer's been established. But we all know that during Ramadan, we're not operating like that. As soon as Maghrib come in, where the date's at? So we have to really be careful about it during Ramadan. And the prayer schedule that we put out during Ramadan, don't try to bring no prayer schedule from no other masjid in this masjid. I'm going to tell you, you're going to get mad because you're going to come in right an hour after you put it there, you're going to see them all in the trash can. Because we put out our own prayer schedules with these things modified in it. So if you follow the prayer schedule that we put up during the month of Ramadan, and if you notice, we don't have prayer schedules up during the rest of the year. Because a lot of people in our mind, they think that literally, people, when you put a prayer schedule up in the masjid, or the person has an app on his phone, they think that's revelation. They think that's hadith. No, you're supposed to make the prayer now. My phone is ringing. You hear it say, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar? They think it's wahi. So we discarded all of that. But we produce one for the month of Ramadan so that we know particularly when exactly to break our fast. So when we say don't rush it, yeah, rush it, but rush it after Maghrib comes in. Don't rush it before Maghrib comes in. How many hours of fasting will it be this year? Like 18 or something like that?
I mean, what?
Hours of daylight fasting. What we be doing this year?
17 and a half to be exact.
Like 17 and a half. You just imagine you fasted 17 and a half hours and you blew all that time because you couldn't wait 5 minutes. I mean, that's sad. And another point about iftar, don't focus on it. Don't focus on it. The goal of Ramadan is not to become a gourmet guru. It's to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's just a tool. Number 6, Taraweeh, pray. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, "Man qama Ramadan imanan wa ihtisaban ghufira lahu ma taqaddama min dhanbihi." Whoever stands praying, having sincere faith and hoping in Allah's forgiveness, Allah will forgive them of all of their previous sins. And this prayer that he's talking about is a Taraweeh prayer. Most of us eat too much, and so we don't have the energy, we have the itis, and so we don't even want to pray Isha, much less Taraweeh. So, we should, the month of Ramadan is a time to get major blessings. And if I gave you a parable, any scenario, and I talked about money instead of blessings or getting close to Allah, we'd understand that. Wait a minute. I only have to work 8 hours, right? But you tell me if I work 3 additional hours, that you pay me triple time, like time and a half, double time, triple time. It's 3 hours? I stay, right? We understand that financially, but because in our mind, it's not something you can see, smell, taste, or touch. You're like, it's not that important. I did the obligatory prayer, and I broke my fast, alhamdulillah, and that's it. We shouldn't be like that. We should get the most out of this month of Ramadan. And Taraweeh is part of it. It's part and parcel of it. It's a major part of it. The Quran, number 7, read it. Even if you don't know Arabic, no, it's not technically Quran if you read it in English. So what? Read it. There's benefit in it. Read it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He wouldn't mention it for no reason. Shahr Ramadan alladhi unzila fihi al-Quran. The month of Ramadan in which He sent down the Quran. This is the month of the Quran. If you've been detached from the Quran, the Book of Allah, all year, the least you can do is be attached to it this month. Alhamdulillah, because I don't think I'll have the stamina to do it this year. Alhamdulillah, we have a young brother that's going to be coming here to lead Taraweeh for us. He's a Syrian brother, goes to Masjid Tawheed. He's studying to memorize the Quran. He memorized 10 juz already, so he's going to be leading us for Taraweeh, inshallah. So, his name is Muhammad. So he's going to be leading us for Taraweeh. So inshallah, you won't have me reading slow. Maybe our Taraweeh will go a little bit faster and a little bit better qira'ah, recitation. So come to Taraweeh. And I think most of the masters do Taraweeh in this city. So even if you're in another part of the city, make Taraweeh. Don't skip that blessing. And in conclusion, because we have to get ready for Maghrib, we're people of habit. What we should do is organize our day. These few days before Ramadan, we should map out what our day is going to look like. We take into account our work, our school, and all of these things, and see how we can maximize all of these blessings. What your suhoor going to look like, you should map it out. What I normally do, I've been doing this for almost since I took Shahada, is I write down a list of goals that I want to achieve during the month of Ramadan. And I really started doing this because I've learned that during the month of Ramadan, if you take advantage of the barakah, Allah will give you the ability to do things that you couldn't imagine yourself doing no other time of the year. And I'm not going to get too specific. I'm speaking from experience. I'm not just speaking from the books. There's many things about yourself that you can change, that you can upgrade during the month of Ramadan that you couldn't imagine yourself doing no other time. You should write those things down and know yourself. Don't look in the mirror. You know how if you're on social media, Corey now on social media, but people got all these crazy memes where like it'll be like somebody, look, I look fly today. It'll be like a monkey with lipstick on. Like, don't make that you where you like, well, I know myself. I heard the lecture, I read the chapter from the book. I'm going to do it. No, stop. Let yourself. You know what you can do. Build on that and make yourself stronger. Like a workout. I remember back in the day when the short period of time I used to lift weights. I was able to lift, what was it, 315 when you got 345 plates on each side? What is that, 315? Yeah. I remember I used to be able to bench that. I'm not going to come back, 15 years later? Yo, put them plates on there, I got this. I'm not going to do that. I know myself. What's the plate under 45? Maybe one of them. Maybe just a bar. Because some people start out, literally, some people just start out with just the bar. I think the bar is 45, right? You start out with just the bar, right? Everybody laugh at you. No, you know yourself. And you work up from that, right? It's the same thing with your spiritual exercise. You know yourself. Don't try to be him. Don't try to be her. Try to be you and build up from that. And that's why it's good to write it down. Write down your goals. Write down your schedule. Maybe you may not be able to pray Tarawih every night. Maybe you work during time of Tarawih. But maybe on your days off you can make Tarawih. Maybe at night when you get off from work after all the Masjid have closed and Tarawih is over, maybe you can just go home and make, 2, 4, 6 rakats, Tarawih yourself. End it off with it. It's not obligatory for you to read the whole juice in Tarawih. You can read Kul Hu Allahu Ahad. That's just a tradition that we do to try to read the whole Quran. You don't have to read the whole juice. Read what you know. And you know yourself. So that's my advice. These 7 points. Number 1 is obligation. Number 2, the community, cling to it. Number 3, don't break your fast. Number 4, your suhoor, don't neglect it. Number 5, your iftar, don't rush it. Don't overeat during it. Don't focus on it. Number 6, your tarawih, pray it. And number 7, the Quran, read it. Get connected with it. In conclusion, organize. So do what you need to do to organize it. Put it in your phone. The app, for me, it's better if I write it down. Whatever you need to do to organize this Ramadan, do it. Because if it was about your money and you was trying to buy a house or you was trying to buy a car or some big money item, you will be organizing it. You will say, okay, after taxes, I bring home this much. And I have to pay this much amount of bills. So I put this much away every week. We understand that. Do the same thing with this deen. Do the same thing with the month of Ramadan. Alhamdulillah. Any questions before we pray, Margaret? Alhamdulillah. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Wal 'asr innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa 'amilus salihati wa tawassaw bil haqqi wa tawassaw bis sabr. Assalamu alaikum.
Give him, sir.